Hi everyone, I'm Sarah Todd and I'm here in my very own kitchen, and I wanted to make for you one of my all-time favorite fish curry recipes. It's a really simple one. There is quite a few ingredients that go into it, but all of these are available in my pantry, and yeah, I just kind of keep them there, and there's so many different dishes you can make using these ingredients. And as you can see, it's cooling down a little bit here in Melbourne. We've got the fire going most nights, and I've got my long sleeve on, keeping warm. So I wanted to make something that is very warm and cozy, and that is my fish curry. So I'm gonna get straight into it. So for this one, it is a bit of a Indian Asian recipe. I've merged together a little bit from both. It's possibly on the Burmese style fish curry, where there's a little bit of spice, but there's also a bit of those fermented sauces as well, which they just add so much flavor to anything that they touch. And luckily for me, I did a seafood order last week, and I ended up buying quite a large amount, and I froze quite a few pieces of that fish. So for days like this, I just grabbed the seafood out the night before, and it defrosts in the fridge, and then we can get cooking the next day. So very simply, we want to cut this quite fine. I want to cook my curry quite quickly. If you cook your onions at a really high heat, then they get a more savory kind of flavor to it. But I want to bring out a real sweetness in this dish, and by doing so with the onions, that will achieve that. A little bit of sesame oil. So into the pan, just keep an eye on this. It gets too high, then you can add a little drizzle of water in there just to cool down the temperature of the pan. And this is going to take a little bit of time, like I said. Another step I like to do for this dish is with my tomatoes, I remove the skin. Sometimes I also remove the seeds inside for both sides. This side you can chop out that little bit of core. And again, score the bottom of the other tomato as well. When you pop this into boiling hot water, the skin starts to peel off almost immediately. You don't cook the tomatoes at all. And you run it under cold water or in an ice bath, and then you'll see the skin just peels off immediately. So I'm going to give this a really quick stir, and I'm going to pop over to my hot water and add these tomatoes in. As they are in the water, about 30 seconds, I'm just going to really quickly chop the white parts of my shallots. I had these in the fridge, and I'm going to use the green part for a bit of garnish, because you know what, I have absolutely no fresh herbs in my fridge, and I'm going to save those green bits for garnish later on. So into the pan. These don't take quite as long as the white brown onions, so you can pop those in there. Just that step of sauteing out the onions to begin with is such a warming feeling. They are almost ready. I'm going to add in my garlic ginger paste. I always have these in the fridge because it's just so easy. Peeling garlic almost every day is a bit of a nightmare for me. And we'll leave that cook out for another minute. Now, I also had some shrimp paste in the pantry. This is not necessary, totally up to you. So I want to just use about a teaspoon of this, and I'm going to pop this into some aluminium foil and into the oven for 5 minutes. This just unlocks all the incredible aromas. It does fill the house with very intense flavor, so be aware. I'm going to pop it in the oven. Now, as you can see, those skins are just peeling off instantly. So, very simple. Skin can be quite a bitter flavor, so that's the main reason why I remove it. I am going to add in my spices next. I have a little bit of fenugreek seeds, a little bit of turmeric. I'm using sweet paprika because it gives a beautiful flavor to the dish. It also adds that little bit of sweetness, and that aroma is just to die for. And I'm gonna add in a little bit of Kashmiri chili. This dish tonight is going to be eaten by my son, and even though he's half Indian, he is not really tolerating a huge spice level. Give that a really quick stir. Add in 2 tablespoons of fish sauce. This is going to deglaze the pan as well, so if there is any of those brown bits at the bottom, as you can see, all that just lifts off the bottom. I like to add tamarind puree. I often, get asked from people, how do you come up with these combinations? But it's quite simple, really. It's thinking about that sweet element, which is coming from, the caramelized onions, from the tomatoes, that tangy element, which is coming from the tamarind paste, and the umami element, which is coming from that shrimp paste that I'm going to be adding in very shortly. Next, in with my tomatoes. I want these to cook down a little bit. They basically, go down to nothing. So you want them to really puree up in the pan. Seems a little bit fancy when you plate it up to the family, but it really isn't that difficult. So, add in your coconut milk. And bring that up to temperature and let that simmer off for a few moments. We have our shrimp paste. That's just gonna crumble in. Stir all of that together. I'm gonna let that simmer for a moment. I've also popped on some white basmati rice that I'm gonna be serving this one with. I'm gonna slice up my spring onions for garnish. Garnish doesn't need to be flowers or things like that. It can be, just as simple as slicing your spring onions on an angle. Now I'm going in with my fish, so my blue-eye trevally. It's nice to use any meaty kind of fish, so it still stays quite chunky when you're cooking it out in the sauce as well. So in with my fish. And this really does not take too long at all. I like to break these up a little bit so there's like nice fleshy fillets kind of, going all the way through your curry sauce. I also had these fried shallots in my pantry as well, so a packet that I'm going to use for garnish as well, just that textural element that goes on the top. And I had some Lebanese cucumbers as well. My rice is also cooked through. There's nothing like a bowl of basmati rice to serve with your fish curry. And I use the method of lid on, where you use 2 parts water to 1 part rice. And once it's cooked, don't just serve it immediately. I like to leave it sit for a moment. And as you can see, it's dried out and steamed itself. So now I just like to fluff it up a little bit as well. And just remember, everywhere that you go, ingredients are different. So play around with the, flavor and balance it to your own liking. I'm gonna leave the lid on for a moment. Okay, well, my house is full of that incredible fragrance. Honestly, I just cannot stop eating this when it's done. So I think we are almost there. Yes, it's perfect. The fish is flaking off and exactly how it should be. So I'm gonna plate up now. In with our fluffy jasmine rice. And nice chunky fillet of that incredible golden fish and curry. And this really is going to become a family favorite. Trust me. You need to try this one at home. Okay. I've got these beautiful Lebanese cucumbers. Slice those up. And I'm going to drizzle a little bit of coconut milk on top. A little bit of texture as well. Thank you all for tuning in. It was so nice to have you in my home. I hope you enjoyed this recipe. If you did, make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and comment below if you want to see more recipes like this. Bye.